In one of the previous videos, I received a comment requesting a last-minute shopping video. I thought it was a great idea, even though we always talk about preparation and avoiding situations where we have to rush for supplies. However, there are certain circumstances under which this may be justified. I remember the pandemic when it was sometimes even pleasant to go out and buy necessary things, and it wasn't critically important. Not every misfortune or emergency is the end of the world that requires locking oneself at home. There are different circumstances when one can take advantage of such situations and acquire some supplies. This is what I want to talk about today. Before moving on to last-minute options, I want to highlight a few important points. First of all, such a situation must be safe. It is necessary to have at least some warning and understand that something is approaching. I also recommend having some cash on hand, as you never know when the internet or electricity might go out and ATMs or card terminals may not work. Therefore, it's always useful to have some cash. If you decide to use credit cards, I don't recommend overloading them. But if you really need something important, like a generator, it's worth considering such a purchase. However, you shouldn't fill several carts with goods and maximize your credit limits in a panic, thinking that everything is falling apart. If the situation does not become critical, you will still have to settle the bills. Also, do not focus only on large supermarkets like Walmart, King Soopers, or Safeway. Take note of the small shops in your city, located just 5 to 10 minutes away from you. We have a feed store that is likely to be either sold out or crowded with people. We also have an Ace hardware store where you can find similar goods to Home Depot, but in smaller quantities. We also have several auto parts stores, sporting goods stores, and surplus military stores. There are many options, you just need to explore your surroundings and think about where to acquire the necessary items. By the way, another important point. At this stage, expiration dates are not that critical. This is almost a bonus because the products you buy have a longer shelf life than some of those you already have at home. Once you acquire something, or it is packaged, time begins to flow, and you place it on the shelf. So everything you buy at the moment will be stored for at least a year, some things for 3 months, but overall they will be stored for a long time, simply because they are newer than what you already have. Although the refrigerator is indeed important, as I will explain later in this video, expiration dates are not that crucial. So, let's move on to the list I prepared. Honestly, you can find hundreds of products in the store, just in case. In this list, I highlighted 20 or 30 of the most significant and important items. Let's quickly go through this list. If you have anything to add that I haven't mentioned, leave comments below. Let's create a large list that will be useful for everyone. Let's start with water. To store water, you can purchase containers such as large 5-gallon jugs or bottled water like gallon packs. It's a sort of why not? So you can take several of these jugs. In the sports goods department, you can also find water purification tablets, filters, and similar items. So, if possible, don't forget to grab some of them and a bit of bleach. It belongs to several categories and can be used to purify water. Just a few drops of bleach will kill some microorganisms. It is worth noting that bleach has a shorter shelf life, so in an emergency it will last longer than what you already have. Now about food. This is a tricky point because many others will also be looking for supplies. Keeping an eye on news and events in advance, as well as arriving a few hours earlier than others, can change the situation. Speaking of products, it is worth paying attention to canned goods. There is a wide range, from canned meat to vegetables and fruits. If you manage to get them, they will last a very long time. Also, don't forget about dry products. Their expiration dates are not so important. Speaking of dry products, one can mention boxed cereals, spaghetti, and similar products. Even if we already have everything necessary, it is never unnecessary to stock up a bit more and keep it in reserve. If there is an opportunity, do not miss it. It is also worth considering energy bars and snacks that your family loves and consumes daily. This will help make everyday life a bit more familiar. In most modern supermarkets today, one can find long-lasting products, such as those from Augustin Farms and similar brands. If you see them on the shelves, many will likely ignore them, so why not take a couple of buckets? Yes, it may be a bit expensive, but this food will last you a long time, and even if nothing serious happens, the shelf life is 25 years, so you are safe. Don't forget about pets. Many people do not have a supply of food for their animals for several months, so while in the store, why not buy some food for your pet? If possible, take a couple of packs of dog or cat food that you usually do not buy. Having extra supplies of food never hurts. While you are there, think about medical supplies as well. This is another category where there is never too much stock. You will need gauze, bandages, adhesive plasters, and various medical materials that may come in handy. Yes, you probably already have something, but as practice shows, supplies may run out, especially when they are needed. These items have a long shelf life, so if you see bandages or gauze dressings, don't miss the chance to buy them. It is also worth paying attention to over-the-counter medications and pain relievers. These are things we should all have in stock. Don't forget about vitamins and supplements. If possible, take those as well. Hygiene products are equally important, as they also fall into this category. When you think about hygiene, it is important to consider how you will handle toilet needs and maintain cleanliness. For example, toilet paper was in high demand during the pandemic, and we should have enough supplies. But if possible, why not grab a few more rolls? One should also think about garbage bags. How will you dispose of waste? 5-liter buckets can be used for many purposes. With a bucket and a garbage bag, along with some cat litter or dirt from the street, you can create an improvised toilet. Think about hygiene supplies, as 5-liter buckets can be useful in various situations. If you're rushing into a grocery store at the last minute, why not grab a couple of things that might come in handy? Don't forget about soap, shampoos, toothpaste, and similar products. They may come in handy, but if you follow this list, you'll soon spend thousands of rubles filling your cart with everything. Now about light and energy. In this section, I mean flashlights, batteries, and even solar garden lamps. They can be found in almost every store. They may be simple models, but they will help in a tough moment. These lamps can be placed in the front yard during the day and brought inside at night. Also, don't forget about battery chargers. There are compact models for recharging AA and 8AA batteries, and in some stores, you can find larger devices that can charge multiple batteries at once. Consider external power banks as well. Some of them are equipped with solar panels, which is very convenient for emergencies. The capacity of such batteries can range from 2 to 10,000 milliamp hours, allowing you to charge your mobile phones and small electronics. Look for batteries, solar lamps, and flashlights, all necessary for lighting and energy. Next, consider how you will cook. Head to the sporting goods section of your store if available, or visit a surplus military store or a specialty shop. Be sure to take cooking fuel with you, as well as methods for its use. For example, this could be small alcohol burners or camping stoves. As for fuel, you can find isopropyl alcohol sold in large grocery stores, as well as denatured alcohol, which is a bit more difficult to find but possible. You will also need propane, small canisters for camping stoves, or large 20-gallon containers that can be bought at gas stations. Additionally, there are fuels like stern and butane. I have already made a video about cooking options indoors and in emergencies, so make sure you know which cooking methods suit you. This will help you choose the right fuel when you find yourself in a store. Don't forget about fuel for the car. If possible, grab a few canisters for gasoline, even if they are not the best quality. Make sure you fill them and refuel the car so you have some extra fuel in case of an emergency. It is important to be prepared for unforeseen circumstances, especially when it comes to fuel supplies. Once the gasoline level in the car reaches half, it should be seen as a signal that it's time to refuel. One should also consider communication methods. There are various radio stations, such as walkie-talkies and radios for receiving weather information. In stores, you can find hand crank radios that allow you to listen to meteorological news, which is especially useful in emergencies. Radio communication, even over short distances, can be indispensable, especially if you have a group of people to communicate with, whether they are neighbors or acquaintances. Even simple walkie-talkies can be very useful, although the ideal option would be long-range radio stations. It is not necessary to have a large number of such devices, but having 1 or 2 radios, as well as the ability to share them with neighbors or use them for exchange, is a good idea. Now about food. I wanted to leave this point for last, as it will be about frozen products. If possible, consider stocking up on meat or frozen vegetables for the long term. Recently, I made a video on how to power a mini fridge and freezer with minimal energy costs in case of an emergency. With such a system, it will be possible to preserve quite a lot of meat or frozen vegetables. That's all for today. I look forward to your comments and suggestions on this list. Take care and be ready for any surprises.